Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Nate Kepner from the band Theriaca, and you are listening to the Music Roundtable. I know this is kind of a little bit of a mishap here where it's usually Randy talking, but we're going to flip the tables here. And we're going to actually interview my man Randy, who does this on a regular basis. So let's dig into your history, man. What got you involved with music?
Like since I was younger, I was always like into music and stuff. I would like make up songs in my head, like when I was a kid and stuff. And eventually, I started playing drums like second, third, fourth grade, and then eventually I got into guitar when I was like 15, and I was in like a few bands throughout the last 10 years, like 20 years. Like cover bands and stuff like that. Wrote originals, went in the studio, recorded stuff. Like a lot of the early stuff wasn't too good, but eventually it got better. And I would,
Can we hear any of this stuff on YouTube by chance, or any places? I'd love to hear.
yeah, there's some songs on YouTube and stuff.
I definitely have some stuff on the interwebs from when I was a kid that I'm definitely embarrassed about. Just being a young kid going into the studio thinking you know everything, and it's like and you listen to that stuff back, and you're like, "Oh, that was so bad."
Like I I felt like I did it backwards because I never really had a band. I would just go in the studio, grab some of my friends, and we would just record these songs, like and they were high school friends. Like my friend Chris Anarumo, he plays in Funhouse in Pittsburgh, the band Funhouse. It's like an '80s band, and my other friend, he played drums and keyboard, Steve Pfeffer, where he eventually went on and moved to Nashville, toured with Sarah Evans, Leanne Rhymes. He's playing currently with Alabama. So like he had success. So I just got these guys together and we just recorded these songs every time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But I couldn't really do it full time because I didn't have a band or anything. Plus I was working and stuff like that. So that's basically the history, how I got into music. And
I totally feel you there with the finding the time to do things, man. Especially with work and all that good stuff. I feel you. So, how did you form Music Roundtable? I'd like to say real quick though, man. I love what you're doing for sure, especially with the Music Roundtable. I have discovered so many great bands just tuning in, and it's cool to see like a perspective outside of just the music, the questions you ask, and getting some insight on some of these bands that I've never heard of before. Not just listening to their music, but actually feeling like I get to know them watching your show. So it's I just want to say kudos to you, the stuff you're doing. I love it, and I want to hear more about it. Like how did you form Music Roundtable? Where did it how did it come to fruition?
okay, yeah, it, a lot of my friends have found new music and bands through that too. So you're not the only one out there that's happened to.
Yeah, for sure. I have bands that I've discovered on Music Roundtable on my regular rotation daily.
Awesome. That was kind of like the goal of that, to get the music heard and stuff. But like about it was like the fall of 2019. I was thinking about this, like throwing around ideas, trying to figure out. I wanted to do something, because like no, it was the fall. It was the fall of 2020, because we were in lockdown, and nobody could go out to any shows or anything. So I wanted to try to interact with some of these bands and promote their music and stuff like that. So I just came up with the idea, and I came up with like a developed a format of how I wanted it to be, kind of like if you would have like a history of the band on just one episode, where you would find like everything out you needed to about the band and about their songs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
So I launched it. I launched it in March of 2021. So it'll be 3 years this March that I've had it going.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I can only imagine trying to like take a risk and start something like right in the middle of that situation. Everybody has a crazy story about those times, and taking a risk to do something like this during those times, kudos to you, man, for sure.
Then, as for the name, Music Roundtable, I want it to be, more than just rock, metal. It could be like country, blues, you know, rap. I didn't want to limit myself in that way.
I like it. I like it, and especially for someone who me personally, who enjoys all facets of music, whether it's like you said, hip hop, country. I'm not a big fan of like modern country, but I like old school country, man, and like rock, hard rock, metal, all that stuff. I love tuning in like on a regular basis and seeing something different on a regular basis. That's cool, and it's not like the same type of thing every single every single episode. It's cool to have different stuff all the time. It's cool. So tell me a little bit about you got another thing going on too with Backstage Pass. My band Theriaca was lucky enough to be involved with that at one of our shows last year at the Funhouse, and that's a really cool thing too because it's kind of like the Music Roundtable, but you actually go to shows and film some music and do some live interviews like right there on the spot in the thick of things while people are setting up. People get to see backstage and what's going on. I'd like for you to elaborate on that a little bit and where you how you came about deciding to do stuff like that.
Well, it was May of 2022, and I was just sitting here at my desk, and I come up with ideas all the time, and I write them down. And I came up with this idea like in 15 minutes about like Backstage Pass. It would be like for touring bands that would come into Pittsburgh or anywhere actually, but originally it was Pittsburgh, and I just reached out to my friend Ty, drummer for Smile Empty Soul, and I sent him a message. I was like, "Hey, you interested in doing this little project I want to start up?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so like the following week we filmed it at like Hard Rock in Pittsburgh.
That was the first one was with Smile.
Yeah, that was the first one, and
Talk about coming out of the gates.
yeah, I was just developing it, and it was supposed to be about life what on the road with a touring band, basically what how it is touring. And you hear that the questions that I asked them. That's, where were you last night? Did you stay overnight, or did you drive the whole way and then sleep when you got here? Like stuff like that, what life is on the road for those bands.
Right, a lot of people don't know. But
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, so everybody knows that it's hard, and so I was gonna do a couple more episodes, but there were scheduling conflicts. I had a couple other bands that were gonna do it, and then like one of the bands, their tour got canceled, so I just left it go after that. I just did that one episode, and then New Year's Eve, the launch party for Music from the 412, Rocky approached me about doing a show for them, and I told him, what about Backstage Pass? And he liked the idea. And so I just contacted all the bands that um, are my friends and asked them, because they were all coming into town over a 3-month period. And I just asked them if they wanted to do an episode, and they said, yeah. So for anybody that didn't see any of the episodes, I had Frank Vieira playing at Jurgles, Theriaca playing at Mr. Smalls, Rise Among Rivals, Black Forge, and Love Dumpster and Wine and Spirit. They played at the Time Brew Pub in Elwood City. Then I covered the Millville Music Festival, the Blues Challenge, and Sleep Signals at Subalpine, and Until I Wake, Preserving Underground, and Cold at the Craft House. So if anybody wants to see any of those episodes, they got them on Music from the 412 on Roku and their website. They stream them. So if anybody wants to see any of those episodes, they're up there.
Right on. Now, can you see is Music Roundtable and Backstage Pass, are they both like on the same? Like, do you have a YouTube channel? Are they both on YouTube also, or are they on separate channels? Or are they the same channel?
Well, on my YouTube page, I do have the trailers for uh, Backstage Pass and the episode with Smile Empty Soul. The rest of the episodes are on 412, Music from the 412.
Okay, so in order to be able to see the Backstage Pass stuff, you have to log in through Roku or the other platforms to see on Music from the 412. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, they're on demand on there, so you don't have to watch them at a specific time. They're just on demand. You can watch them whenever.
Gotcha. But the Music Roundtable, all those episodes are on YouTube, though, right? Correct.
Oh, yes. And Rumble.
Okay, gotcha. Nice. So, what's planned? Do you plan on doing any more stuff with Backstage Pass? Do you have anything going on with that in the future with any shows? Do you plan on interviewing any guys on the road?
Um, right now, I'm just gonna hang out because that was really hectic schedule for that because I was filming an episode, then editing it and uploading it, and then doing another one every week during that time. So it was very hectic. Right now, I have ideas, but I haven't developed them yet for other shows that I want to do down the road here. So
Gotcha. So, what do you got planned then? What's on the agenda for Randy for the upcoming year and the Music Roundtable?
over the last 6 months and stuff, I've been out in the scene and stuff and seeing things and seeing how things operate. And, I noticed there's a lot of roadblocks in place where, I don't want to get into it, but there's roadblocks in place where people can't get heard or know what the hell's going on, know when people's playing out every night of the week. And so I came up with an idea, and I'm launching a radio station. There's a radio app that I made for Music Roundtable, and it's for Apple and Google Android. So
Nice. Talk about that for sure. I want to hear more about this.
the format basically is, you know, all the bands I've interviewed, plus like there's some of my friends that have bands that I'm friends with on Facebook that I put on there, and then there's some bands that I want to interview in the future. So I put all those bands together and made a good mix on there, I think. And I'm gonna have like interviews on there every day. There's gonna be interviews, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. daily, and also Tuesday through Friday at 3 o'clock. I'm gonna have like a concert schedule basically, and it's gonna say where everybody's playing at during that week.
So it's just going to be constant music, interviews, and promotion for bands. Is this geared just towards like the Pittsburgh area, or are you going to be playing music from like bands from around the country or bands that are going to be traveling into Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's gonna be all the bands, and it's not just gonna be a local. It's gonna be a national thing because I'm gonna say where all the dates are around the United States, wherever the bands that I have on my show are playing at every night.
Oh, okay. So you're going to be featuring like specific bands. Is there going to be like a rotation or is it constant?
It's wherever the bands are playing out that week. I'm gonna announce them every day.
Right on. So what's the I'm curious, what's like the criteria of you vetting these bands that are going to be on your station? Is it going to be like personal preference? Do they have to apply or go through an application process to be involved? How's that work?
Basically, for now, it's the bands that I've interviewed, and then there's a lot of bands that I've talked to over the last year that about interviews to come on my show, and so I'm gonna have their music playing on there, and then there's some that you'll be like, how's he even gonna get that band on the show? Well, they're bands that I like, and they're bands that also the other bands I interview they mentioned that they like too. So I'm gonna play them, and I'm gonna try to get them on my show, interview them. That's my goal. So this is my goal, and so I'm gonna have that set of bands, and then eventually down the road I'll eventually add more bands. But as of now, I'm gonna focus on interviewing the bands that are gonna be playing on my show.
Right on. Awesome. This sounds very interesting to me. I'm looking forward to see how this plays out for sure. Most definitely. It's going to be nice. It would be like I tune in and I check out the bands that you interview on the roundtable, but that's usually like when I'm at home watching YouTube or whatever. But if you have an app that's like a radio station that I could just throw on through the day while I'm at work or doing whatever I'm doing, this is game changing for sure. To be able to have access to that 24/7 is awesome.
Yeah, and I also want to use like my Facebook page as like an interacting thing between like fans and bands. Music roundtable talking music Facebook page where I'll post up every day what like who the interviews are going to be playing during that day, like at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and then post concert schedules on there too, along with like if I have an upcoming guest, I'll announce it on there, and you could write in the comments if you want a question. You want me to ask them a question for you.
That's cool too. Having people that are tuning in be able to interact and ask questions. That's awesome. I like that. I like that for sure. You got it going on, man. I'm liking this stuff. I'm liking what's going on for sure, especially with the like the direct market, the Pittsburgh area, finding some ways to help uh, promote bands in that area and shows is for sure game changing. Definitely.
Yeah, and how do you find out about bands playing wherever? You either check a website or you're on the band's social media feed. There's no other way. There's nobody reads the paper anymore. Where do they announce shows at? I don't even know. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the X like does their every once in a while. They'll do their what's going on around the area on like Fridays and Saturdays, but that's usually like the day of the show or the day before the show. So people usually already have plans already made. So it'd be really nice to have an outlet where people can go and find out what's going on, especially in advance, for sure. Most definitely.
I'm gonna announce like the dates like a couple days before the actual show so people know, you know.
Yeah, so people can plan ahead of time. That's crucial, especially in a big city where there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. A lot of people make plans early on, before, and then they're out doing what they're doing, and they finally hear or see something like, oh man, I could have done that if had I known about it. You know what I mean? So you're all, especially with bands, you're banking on, like, in the local scene, at least you're banking on, people seeing your Facebook posts and promoted ads and stuff through social media. That's really like the only best alternative to promoting as a band within a local music scene, is hoping that your posts cut through the rest, because advertising on radio stations and advertising on billboards and stuff like that is just extremely expensive, and a lot of times isn't worth it. So having another outlet like what you plan on doing is crucial for bands like me and other bands that you're pushing and promoting and wanting to get out there in the world. That's awesome. I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's free. The app's free. There's no commercials or anything. I paid for the music license, so all the bands will get paid for their music being played on there. So everything's covered. I'm just in it to have fun, you know.
Yeah, right on. Right on. So is this a paid app, or what is the name of the app? Music Roundtable also, or is there a different name for the app?
Yeah, Music Roundtable on iPhone and Android. It's free. There's no subscription or anything. You can just download it and start playing it. And here I'll show you it here. Um, here's what the app looks like. Um, it shows the name of the song and the name of the band, and you could just right here. You could send me a message. It's an email, and then if you scroll down, and it says for your socials, you click on that, and you could go to my website, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube page from there. So it's all built into the app where it's convenient for everyone.
That is awesome. Having an interactive app like that is, instead of people having to go to YouTube or having to click on a link through Facebook, they can just go directly to an app and then start streaming music. Is awesome. Killer, man. Killer. I'm liking what you're doing.
And I listen to it every day. I made it for so I could listen to it where in the car or wherever. That's what I'm going to listen to from now on is my radio station because I made it cool. It would be something I would want to listen to. You know.
Yeah, for sure. So what else you got planned other than the app? You got anything coming up like in the immediate future?
No, I'm just well. There's a lot of the bands are coming into town in November, and I got them wrote down. I'll probably go out to a few of those shows.
Yeah, I know that we personally have a couple shows coming up in the Pittsburgh area too. So I'm sure that you'll be, you know throw that on the app maybe.
Well, let's talk about that Taproot show you got coming up. How did you go about hooking up that show?
Well, we actually got hooked up through that show through Drusky Entertainment was looking for openers for Taproot, and we were available that date, so we decided to go ahead and jump on. So we hopped on that show at the Craft House. I can't remember the exact date, but it was a few months ago. It was actually Taproot's first show on this on their most recent tour, that they haven't played in 6 years. So they got on tour and started playing shows, and they just recently released an album. So we played that show, and it was a killer show, man, for sure. Like Taproot killed it, the opener killed it, and then we got up and we did our thing, and it was an awesome show overall. And we kind of hit it off with those guys. Steven, their guitar player, for their lead singer and guitar player forgot his amp. So Brennan like kind of bailed him out a little bit by letting him use our amp, and we hit it off with Tom, their manager, and I just after the show I was just chatting with them about the lack of live entertainment in our direct area. Like we consider ourselves like an Ohio Valley band. Half of us live in Pittsburgh, half of us live like right on the Ohio border, like in Jefferson County, Steubenville, Weirton area. So it's hard to get people from our direct area to come to Pittsburgh. We draw fine in Pittsburgh. We have a good draw and a lot of fans in the Pittsburgh area, but it's hard to get our fans at home to make the trip because it's $25-$30 in gas, and you're paying $20 in parking, you're paying $10 a beer, $25-$30 a ticket. So I was talking about this with Tom and the rest of the guys in Taproot about it would be awesome if we could start providing this type of atmosphere, this type of concert feel to our home base, because we don't have that here in the Steubenville area. We have events, we have an amphitheater, and we have stuff like that. But like the event organizers in our direct area don't really. They only cater to one specific audience. They want the Golden Years tribute bands, and they want a couple food trucks, and that's about it. That's what they call an event. So we want to bring that concert feel, and they were like, "Let's do it." So here they are, December 8th. They're coming to the Masonic Theater in downtown Steubenville, and we're going to open up for them. We actually have a very a cool surprise that we're going to be releasing within the next day or two. We got one of the best bands, in my opinion, from this tri-state area. They're actually going to get back together and do a reunion show at this show. So I don't know if you ever heard of a band called Chaos Killed, but they are going to be opening the show, and they are lights out. One of the best bands ever come out of the Valley. I'm pumped to have them on the show for sure.
Awesome. I love that. The there's things that the scene needs more of, like more involvement and networking and community, and you know, I think there's platforms out there now. Music from the 412 got their MTV channel and the radio station. I got my radio station now that I'm launching. And then there's a place in the South, the Sound 228 has a radio station. You know, that that is helping out a lot of the younger bands with them having that. It's free, all they do is put their video or song up, on those stations, and they'll play them and stuff, and they'll get more fans and stuff. So I think bands should use that more often. It's a free PR, it's free PR for them.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Yeah, I think that the a lot of bands don't even know about these types of things that are being offered because they're um, just not being talked about enough. And I hope that it changes. I hope that people start to realize and see what's being offered out there and start using it. And it's not just the bands too. I'm talking like music fans in general. There's a lot of people out there that aren't in bands that need to know what's going on if they want to go see a show. A lot of times, like you see a lot of those Facebook groups and stuff on uh, like on social media apps, they have those separate groups that are like, it's always like promote your band, or like Pittsburgh area musicians and stuff. And the intentions for these things at first is to help promote bands and promote music, but then it just turns into this big fishbowl of a bunch of bands, but there's no fans in there. It's just bands promoting to other bands, and that's great to create a community like that. But we need fans too. We need people that want to hear new music. So I hope that doesn't turn into um, I hope that what we're trying to do here doesn't eventually turn into that, where it's just a bunch of bands talking to other bands, which is great, but we need to find a way to get people that aren't in bands but like to go see music involved in this also.
Yeah. we just need to work together and network and, support each other.
Yeah, yeah. Quit with the spatting, little drama stuff that goes on in the irregular. And every local scene has that type of stuff.
And if you're gonna talk, do not do it on Facebook. Don't do it on Facebook.
Most definitely. Most definitely. That's where it usually starts too. But yeah, this you know, what the plans are for this for our direct area is we want to kind of shake up the culture of shows too, where it's these shows that we want to start doing with like bringing Taproot December 8th. We want to do multiple genre style shows, but we want to make them concerts. Like you have the Craft House and Jurgles and Hard Rock Cafe, and you have all these great music venues in Pittsburgh, and we want to create that culture, those types of shows in our area too. But we want to do it a little differently. We don't want it to be, a lot of shows in the Pittsburgh area that we do. They always start off great shows, but then by 2 3 days before the show starts, it turns into, an awesome 2 or 3 band bill to 6 bands just to fill time or whatever the reason is to do. And I'm all about having as many great musicians and bands together, but sometimes that just becomes a cluster, especially when a lot of times it turns into bands that really shouldn't be on the bill to begin with, because whether they don't fit the bill or maybe they're just not experienced enough to be on a stage like that. All bands go through those stages where, okay, I'm ready for this. Now I'm ready to make this step, this step, this step. A lot of times bands try to jump over that step and then it doesn't work out. And shows, I think that has a lot to do with why sometimes these shows in that area, people don't, it's hard to get people to come to shows early because they know that, well, I know that the last 2 bands are going to be great or the last 3 bands are going to be great, but I don't want to waste my time, with 6 bands. So we want to try to create a culture where we have a cohesive, great show from start to finish for every show that we do in the Ohio Valley area. And hopefully that type of culture or that type of setup kind of bleeds into other areas and they see that, okay, this is working. If we vet the bands before we have them play, make sure they're good bands that put on a good show, maybe other areas will see what we're doing and maybe try to follow that path.
Well, that's what we have to do. We have to lay the blueprint for others to follow.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what you're doing for sure, man. I hope that you definitely have my support. You have the rest of my band's support for what you're doing, and we're definitely going to push as much as we can to try to get music roundtable and especially this app that you got launched. We want people to know about it, so we're going to be pushing it. And I hope that all the other bands too, that or any other bands or musicians that are watching this video now, um, you know, when this video is over, get on your app store and download it and check it out. And if it's something you like, share it with people. That's People don't understand that sharing and talking about things is like the best way to promote something that you enjoy. Like just tell your friends about it. Tell your friends.
Thanks for doing that. Yeah, share it. Check, just download it. If check it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But I made it to be likable. It took a lot of time, and I think I got the flow of it down.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the future for sure. So, is there anything else you'd like to throw at me? Anything else you want to talk about?
Just check out my app. Music Roundtable. It's on iPhone and Android. Uh, I have a website now. It's www.music-roundtable.com. There's on there you'll see a whole bunch of pictures of me hanging out with all my friends that I've interviewed, and There's like a little bio up there too, and I think you could listen to the radio right on the website too. There's a little widget thing you just click on.
Oh, that's cool. So if you're like on a desktop or something, you can just throw it on your desktop. That's cool. I like that. I like this little flip, man. I like this for sure. This is cool because, like I said, I've tuned in and watched a bunch of, discovered some great musicians and got to hear, about their personal lives and stuff. And I've always wondered, like, I wondered, like, this is a cool concept. I like this, asking the interviewer questions so that people can get a little bit of an insight of the person who's doing all the work. Basically, like you're doing all the work, but nobody knows anything about you. So this is a really cool opportunity for people to know who you are and where you come from and your views on the scene and stuff. And this is cool.
Awesome. I hope everyone likes it.
Oh yeah, I have a feeling that people will.